We'll chant Omkara. भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो 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 भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमः शिवाय।
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 गुरु ब्रह्मा गुरु विष्णु गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ध्यानमूलम् गुरोर्मूर्तिः पूजामूलम् गुरोर्पदम् मन्त्रमूलम् गुरोर्वाक्यम् मोक्षमूलम् गुरुकृपा। आत्मदर्शनम् ब्रह्मदर्शनम् आत्मदर्शनम् ब्रह्मदर्शनम् ब्रह्मदर्शनम् सत्यदर्शनम् ब्रह्मदर्शनम् सत्यदर्शनम्। Harihi Om.
Harihi Om.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Harihi Om.
Harihi Om.
So today the question is about the importance of Margashira Masa. Margashira Masa is typically in the English calendar sometime in the month of December. So Sri Krishna Bhagavan in Bhagavad Gita says, Masanam Margashirosmi. I am the month of Margashira, he says. Which means a Margashira month is important one, or significant one, or divine one. What is the importance of Margashira Masa? The months are actually either can be solar or lunar. The solar months are with respect to the movement of the sun. Sun goes through Mesha, Vrashabha, Mithuna, Kataka, various Rashis. The what we can see as the sky is divided into 360 degrees. Divided by 12 months is 30 degree. In the 30 degree, one Rashi or a set of stars or collection of stars is called a Rashi. Rashi means a collection. So there is a Mesha, means fish. Vrashabha means scorpion. Like that, the collection of stars is called a Rashi. Depending on where sun appears early in the morning, that month is called that Rashi. So Mesha Rashi means in the month of the sun arises in that or that near that association of Mesha, collection of stars called Mesha is visible. So there is always another way of telling the month, which is called lunar, related to the moon. Solar and lunar, both are prevalent in India. Lunar month is actually related to the rising of the moon with respect to a star. The stars can be Rohini, Margashira, many stars are there. So the stars where they arise, when the moon rises, which star is associated with that is called, that month is called lunar month. The Margashira month, mass of Margashira, is related to the star called Margashira, which is actually lunar. Solar, I think, at that time falls the Dhanu Rashi. Dhanu is the Rashi, and lunar is Margashira. The star called Margashira appears or moon rises during Margashira. And the English calendar month, it's a December time frame. It's a winter. So what is the significance of the month of Margashira? Why Sri Krishna says Masana Margashirosmi? The whole sky consisting of stars and planets is considered as Devatas, or the shining ones. There is a radiation of energy from the stars, sun and the moon into the earth, the radiation pattern will be different. Human beings' life, plants and animals are affected by these radiations in various degrees. For example, all living beings, they get activated during morning when the sun rises. Invariably, all of them go to sleep during night when the moon rises. So the sun represents the outward movement of the mind and moon represents the inward movement of the mind. The sun and the moon affect us. Similarly, stars and planets also affect the human life. So this effect varies depending on the period of time, because everything in the universe is nothing but energy. We are living in an ocean of energy. In an ocean, there is a tidal waves where the waves rise and there is some falls, waves fall. So similarly, our understanding, our awareness, our spiritual progress also gets affected by the stars and planetary positions. So in ancient times, people called the 6 months of the southward movement of the sun as Dakshinayana and northward movement of the sun as called Uttarayana. Southward movement is called Dakshinayana and northward movement is called Uttarayana. Sun doesn't move southwards. It's because of the tilt of the axis of the earth. Sun appears to be moving downwards, southwards. So Earth's axis is tilted by 23.5 degrees. Because of that, sun appears to be moving southwards. And sun appears to start moving northwards after Makara Sankranti, which happened in January. So the ancient people said, like human beings have a day and night, the heavenly radiating shining ones have a day and night, because the day and night is of the duration of 180 days, 360. These are called devatas, shining ones. So they said the Uttarayana Kala, the northern movement of the sun, is called the day for the devatas. Dakshinayana Kala, the southward movement of the sun, is called night for the devatas, the day and night. So 360 days or 365 days of human beings is 1 day of devatas. Okay, so now even that doesn't end there. 1 year, which is 365 days of devatas, is 1 day of Brahmaji. So what it means is, actually we are speaking of the time which is relative in nature. What is human beings' time is, in our Milky Way, the earth is a planet. So for that Milky Way, what you call as 1 day, this Milky Way itself is going around the center of the galaxy in somewhere. So that they call as Brahma, which is actually 1 year of devatas is 1 day of Brahmaji. So in this way they are telling the galactic time scale, which is actually more or less coincides with what our scientists also say. The time is very relative in nature. Depending on the speed of motion, the time changes. So what, in this way our ancients said, human beings' time scale of 360 days is 1 day of our Milky Way times 1 day of Milky Way. Our 1 day of 1 year of our Milky Way is the galactic center's 1 year. So one year of that is 1 day. So the time scales are very, very different depending on where you are positioned in the galaxy. So that center of the galaxy is called Brahmaji. The day of the Devatas is auspicious for the spiritual practices, because mind can be the energy of the sun, the energy of the galactic rays will be very beneficial for spiritual practice. So that's what they say. And for that they said Uttarayana Kala is a Punya Kala, Parva Kala is a great period for any spiritual practice. Dakshinayana Kala is not so good period for spiritual practice, or rather mind goes inwards, but then you keep up your practice. That's Dakshinayana Kala. And if you see the what you call as Kumbh Mela, Dhanu Rashi ends just after near Makara Sankranti, and then Sun enters into Kumbh Rashi. That is the time when Kumbh Mela happens in Allahabad. Kumbh Mela means lot of people come from all over India, even world, to take a holy dip in Ganga Yamuna river, Ganga Yamuna Saraswati, the Prayag, where three of them meet. And this happens once in 12 years. There are minor Kumbh Melas and major ones. Big one is happens once in 12 years. And once in 144 years, a very significant event happens. So what they say is, on this galactic movement where stars and planets are moving, the 12-year cycle is also a major event which happens. In that point of time, from the center of the galaxy, not from the Milky Way. A galaxy will have many Milky Ways. Okay, from the center of the galaxy, some more radiations will come on the earth, which are very beneficial for spiritual practice, and that they call as Amrita, means nectar. So those who take a dip in the holy river, that time will, one drop of nectar, that means one radiation of that galactic center will fall on the earth, and that falls on a place called Prayag. So taking a dip in that is very auspicious, they said. So these are all actually what they say is the radiation pattern in the universe is of different kinds. Sometimes radiation pattern is very auspicious. Sometimes radiation pattern can be not so good. The radiation pattern which comes from the center of the galaxy at some point of time is very beneficial. The radiation pattern which comes during the northward movement of the sun, which is called Uttarayana Kala, is very beneficial. So that's why Uttarayana Kala is considered Punya Kala. Okay. So this is the significance. Now, just before Uttarayana Kala starts, the Magha Masa comes. The Magha Masa is the period of time is equivalent to Brahmi Muhurtam of human beings. So actually, while understanding the universe, you have to understand human being and then correlate to universe, vice versa, because they are related. Like a seed contains a tree, tree is nothing but a seed. Similarly, human beings are nothing but a miniature representation of the universe, microcosm. So human beings also have a day which is called Brahmi Muhurta. That starts at 3:45 or 3:30 in the morning, and they get up. So Brahmi Muhurta is considered as very auspicious period for any meditation or spiritual practice. So getting up and meditating at Brahmi Muhurta is very beneficial. It helps your spiritual practice very much. Now this Brahmi Muhurta of human beings, which is at 3:30 in the morning, corresponds to Magha Masa for the Devatas. You understand the correspondence? Devatas are sleeping during Dakshinayana Kala. When they say sleeping, doesn't mean physically sleeping. The radiation pattern is very different. Uttarayana Kala starts in the Makara Sankranti. Just before that, there is a Brahmi Muhurta or an auspicious period for the Devatas. So that period is called Magha Masa. Same thing what corresponds to human beings corresponds to Devatas. On the galaxic solar system level or galactic level. Not galactic level, Milky Way level. Okay. So this period is very auspicious because Devatas start waking up and they shower beneficial radiations on the earth. That's why Magha Masa is considered as very auspicious. Why Brahmi Muhurta for human beings is very auspicious? The human beings go through what they call as 3 modes of nature. Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, Tamo Guna. Rajo Guna means intense activity. Tamo Guna means laziness, dullness of the mind. Sattva Guna means purity of the mind. Sattva, Rajo and Tamo. These are the 3 gunas. These 3 gunas correspond to the Puranic, Aithiyasik or historical characters of Ravana, Kumbhakarna and Vibhishana. Ravana represents hyperactivity, very intense activity. That's why he represents Rajoguna, Ra and Rajoguna, Ravana, Rajoguna. Kumbhakarna is always sleeping. It represents Tamoguna. Vibhishana is sattvic in nature, constantly thinking of God, positive qualities. He is Sattva Guna. So human beings go through, or human beings, all animals, living beings go through these 3 qualities throughout the day. Because nature is predominantly Rajasic when sun has arisen. During day, there is intense activity everywhere. Because sun is shining, sun pumps the energy, human mind goes outwards. That's Rajoguna. During night, sun sets, there is a rise of the moon, the mind goes inwards. Tamo Guna, you enter into sleep condition. In the Brahmi Muhurta period, which is like 3:30 in the morning to 6 o'clock, before early morning, Sattva Guna becomes predominant. The quality of Sattva predominant in Brahmi Muhurta. The Sattva Guna is very, very useful for a meditation practice. That's why meditation practice done at Brahmi Muhurtam is beneficial in nature. Mind has become sattvic. Okay. So same thing happens at the galaxy level also, or rather the universal level. In Magha Masa, become predominantly sattvic rays fall on the earth. The quality of sattvic qualities predominantly are the rays are showered on the earth, which have a quality of sattva. So that's why no doubt Lord says, Krishna says, Masana Margashirosmi, I am Margashira, very auspicious for spiritual practices. Incidentally, many of the enlightened beings, divine beings, are born in and around month of Margashira. Dattatreya was born in the month of Margashira. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Vivekananda Jayanti, Vivekananda, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, they are also in and around Margashira. I am not saying exactly Margashira, in and around Margashira period is very auspicious. So, spiritual qualities are predominant in the month of Margashira. Auspiciousness, where the mind becomes auspicious, mind's quality goes towards sattva, and also the universe also supports. That's why it is said in Dhanurmasa Puja, you have to get up early in the morning and light the lamp. That is a time not only universe is going through very auspicious rays of sattvic quality, human being level also you get up early in the morning. In that sense, you are able to receive maximum amount of beneficial qualities of the universe. This is actually what is called Margashira. Masana Margashirosmi. So, very, very beneficial for spiritual practices because it goes through Sattva Guna. The universe goes through Sattva Guna. Human beings go through Sattva Guna in the Brahmi Muhurta. So, no wonder recommendation is get up early in the morning, do meditation. So, both individual level and the universal level, you have a beneficial radiation. That is why Margashira Masa, spiritual practices are given very much importance. That too, especially early in the morning. Human beings go through three qualities: Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, Tamo Guna, depending on the external conditions. In between these transitions, Sattva Guna to Rajo Guna, early morning to Rajo Guna, early morning, Brahmi Muhurta to Rajo Guna. So there is a transition period. That transition period is called Sandhya Kala. Sandhya means joining period. There are three Sandhya Kalas, Trikala. Early in the morning, 12 o'clock in the night, midday, and evening 6 o'clock. These are called Sandhya Kala. Sandhya means joining period. Sattva Guna to Rajo Guna. Rajo Guna mid of the day, Rajo Guna momentarily there is a gap. And evening Rajo Guna to Tamo Guna, there is a gap. Now what happens during this Sattva Guna gap is, there is no Guna. You have gone beyond Guna. Triguna Atita. So momentarily, there is an opportunity for going beyond the Gunas, beyond the qualities. So three Gunas are in manifestation. In this gap between three Gunas, there is Turiya, or going to the fourth state of consciousness, or beyond three states of consciousness, or higher consciousness, or universal consciousness. The gap is there. In that gap, there is a momentarily you can enter into a higher state of consciousness. That's why it is prescribed that you have to do the worship, puja, sandhya vandana, trikala, three sandhya kala. At the precise moment when there is a gap which arises, it is like a portal, time portal. Those who understand science language understand what is called portal. At some point of time, the universal, there is a gap opens in the universe. So you can utilize that gap. That's called Sandhya Kala. And a good thing about you is it happens every day, 3 times a day. Right? Only thing is, early in the morning, we'll be snoring. Okay? And 12 o'clock in the afternoon, we'll be having good meals. And evening time, we are ready to go from office to home. So we miss all the 3 buses. Morning, evening, afternoon. Okay? Fortunately, then they say, if you miss these 3 buses also doesn't matter. There is a Parvakala. Maghamasa comes where there is a special bus service. Okay, those who want to get enlightenment and liberation, there is a special bus. Festival season bus is there. So Maghamasa, you can get up early at that time. he catch up that bus. So then people miss that also because it's winter, you can't get up, very cold, right? So then there is once in 12 years Kumbh Mela is there. That time also there is a very special rocket is there. So if you miss that, then once in 144 years there is a great event happens if you are alive. So there is special Kumbh Mela is happening now once in 144 years. Okay, very very high special when high speed rocket is available to get enlightenment and liberation. So that is the significance of Magha Masa. Okay. Now all these things are very nice because external conditions favoring you. But a person who is on a spiritual path, Atma Jnana, irrespective of the external conditions, he can meditate. The best place to meditate is city market. You can be very peaceful. You don't have to wait for the right moment, appropriate moment. You don't have to wait for radiations from the galaxy. You can meditate anywhere, anytime. You have to know how to make your mind silent. All the while you are trying to make the mind of your husband or wife silent. But when you know how to make your mind silent, you can meditate any place, any point of time. So external conditions do not matter. Those who know internal journey, inner journey who have undertaken, the external conditions don't matter. So these external conditions matter to people who are on the outer journey. So that brings us to the question, what is the outer journey? What is the inner journey? Somebody asked me, is horoscope real? Then I asked him, what do you mean by horoscope real? They said, the stars and planets affect human beings. They definitely affect human beings. Those who are on the outer journey, those whose minds are outwards, the stars and planets definitely affect you. On the other hand, those who are inner journey, spiritual path, they start affecting stars and planets. It is the other way. No relationship is one way, no? Right? Stars and planets definitely affect you when your mind is outwards. But you start affecting the stars and planets when your mind becomes silent. You start radiating peace and love. All those Shani, Rahu, Ketu will feel peaceful and blissful in the presence of a Jnani. No doubt, people on the outer journey definitely will be affected by stars and planets. But your understanding of stars and planets is wrong. What happens is, when you are born, a horoscope is created. A horoscope is representation of galactic stars and planets in a certain fashion. It is a very, very wonderful way of representing a birthday of a human being. If you say your date of birth is 1st December 2013, after 10,000 years, what is this 2013? What is 1st December? Nobody will understand. Now you say after Christ, another 10,000 years down the line, how many Christs are there? Nobody will know. They are all relative in nature. But the stars and planet position, if you give accurately, even after 1 million years later, you can exactly find out which day and when. You can trace back and say, this is the day this person was born. Not only that, you can locate the position also, because they are unique to the position. In this part of the earth, his person is born. That's why Mahabharata war, when it exactly happened, we know. because the stars and planet positions of that day are told. With the modern day computers, you can recreate the situation and exactly locate which day the Mahabharata war took place. And also where it took place, because the position of the stars and planets, what is told, you can find out. Same way, Sri Ramachandra's birthday, when Rama was born, you can find out. Because the stars and planetary position is given exactly this day, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 years back, he was born, you can find out. So that is nothing but very, very scientific way of representing your date of birth and place of birth. Very, very scientific way. So you are a very, very unique specimen. There is nobody else like you are born any point of time in the galaxy. Only you can have a unique coordinates of stars and planets and location. That's what horoscope means. Have you understood? It is like latitude and longitude. Latitude and longitude. So if you give a latitude and longitude of a place, you know exactly where that place is. You can locate that position by giving stars and planets position. Anybody in the galaxy, not on the earth, can exactly locate where you are born, which earth you are born, which place you are born, if he has a method of calculating. That is the speciality of horoscope. It is giving your coordinates, time and space coordinates, which is galactic reference. Understand? Everything else is meaningless. 13th December, what December, which month? If you ask person from Mars, he will not know. But if you give the position of the stars and planets, you can locate. This guy is born here. Understand? The galaxy is so big. The galaxy is so big. How many billions, how many, sun itself is sun and earth itself, this whole planetary system is so big. In our Milky Way, such thousands and millions of suns are there. Millions of planets are there. And such millions of Milky Ways are there in a galaxy. You have to imagine the scale of the universe. In the whole scale of the universe, your coordinates are very uniquely specified. That is the beauty of horoscope. You understand? Your time and space coordinates are precisely given. That is the beauty of your horoscope. And anybody, any scientist sitting in some Milky Way, if he has your coordinates, he can locate, this stupid fellow was born on earth. Exactly, can find out. Whatever reason, but he can find out. So horoscope is a very beautiful way of representing your coordinates and major events in your life.
So what twins it will be?
It will be gap will be there. Right? They can't come through the same pipe simultaneously. Okay? So that's a good way of representing a unique event in the universe. And it's unique, each event, each birth is a very unique event in the universe. You know why? Each birth of a living being, a very special event in the universe, whether it's an animal, a flower, or a human being. The whole universe, if you see, consists of matter, unconscious matter. From that, one conscious living being is produced. It's a very significant event in the universe. And your father and mother celebrate. Right? No doubt about it. The child is born. But what you don't know is your birth is celebrated throughout the universe. The whole universe is participating in your creation.
The mind doesn't come from the parents, right?
I'll tell you that. So the whole universe, actually, that's what I call as God. For a child to be born, the whole universe has to cooperate. For a flower to blossom, the whole universe has to participate. Can a flower blossom without sunshine? Can a whole flower blossom without the earth? Can sun shine without the galactic center? In any event, the whole universe is participating. You are not alone. So your birth is naturally a major event in the universe. That's why it's represented through unique universal coordinates called horoscope.
What about death?
Death also. Right? But people convert horoscope into horoscope. They misunderstand what is the meaning of horoscope. It becomes a horoscope. So horoscope says each unique individual is born. Now, the individual to be born in that point of time carries a unique karmic footprint, a karmic combination, a very special, unique karmic combination. What karmic combination you carry, what karmic combination he carries, they are different. So, the horoscope is representing your coordinates in time and space and your karmic footprint. Then you go to an astrologer. When you're reading the horoscope, what he should read is based on your coordinates and based on your karmic footprint, he should be able to predict where you are going. That is an astrological prediction. For example, you are standing in the middle of the Majestic near the bus stand. So you don't know where you are. You are come newly to the city. So you call your friend in Bangalore. Then I don't know where I am standing. He says, what are you seeing? He says, Majestic. Oh, Majestic is near the bus stand. Now you can take a right. So you can go towards Malleshwaram. You take a left turn. You can go to Care Circle. He can give the directions. Similarly, a good astrologer, knowing your karmic coordinates, can show you this direction. If you go, you'll go in a better path. Understand? Now, if you don't understand this, it becomes a horoscope. What happens is that Shani is affecting you, he'll say. Now, why Shani should affect you, my dear? It's a bad time for you, he says, because Shani is affecting you. The Shani is not affecting you. Your karmic load is affecting you. Shani is only showing your coordinates of the karmic position. You understand what I am saying? If you are in the middle of the Majestic at 2 o'clock in the night, no doubt no bus you will get. Right? The 2 o'clock in the night, waiting in the Majestic, you won't get a bus. Environment conditions not conducive. But why did you go at 2 o'clock in the midnight to Majestic? That's your karmic coordinate. Now you can't blame the city bus for that. Right? Similarly, you can't blame Shani. Shani is only telling you where you are at that point of your journey in the karmic cycle. It is for you to correct your life. Which direction you are going. So if you don't understand the karmic cycle and planetary influence, you can confuse and convert a horoscope into horoscope. Okay? Horoscope only tells you where you are born in absolute terms. It tells you your karmic footprint and tells you a way out of karmic cycle. That's what this horoscope is about. Clear? So if you understand the significance of horoscope, and if you come out of your karmic impressions through jnana, the wisdom, horoscope will stop affecting you, because you are no longer carrying the karmic baggage. You are coming out of the karma. So all this Uttarayana Marga and Dakshinayana Marga will apply for a person who has not begun his karmic, his Atmadnana, path of self-realization, or rather who has not begun his inner journey. Just say Uttarayana Kala is called Devayana, Dakshinayana Kala is called Pitrayana. So a person who is dying in the period of Uttarayana is carried by the auspicious currents to a higher planetary system, where he has a possibility of living in a higher planetary system and eventually getting liberated after a couple of billion years. Okay? So that is called Uttarayana Marga. That's also good. The person has started spiritual journey but not realized himself. So that person goes in the path of Uttarayana. So on the other hand, Dakshinayana is the path when the person is involved, is not realized himself, not begun the inward journey, but still immersed in all what we call as Kamya Karma. Such a person, when he dies in Dakshina, that period, he goes to Pitraloka, or path of ancestors. After enjoying heaven or hell, he is born in earth or in the animal beings. So this is called Dakshinayana Marga. This is for outer world. But a person who takes inner journey, the Uttarayana Marga is somebody who has taken the inner spiritual journey in the path of Atmadnana. And Dakshinayana Marga is for an individual who has not taken the path of Atmadnana. This is called Uttarayana Marga and Dakshinayana Marga at the individual level. A person, it also means people who are the Kriya Yoga path. Uttarayana Marga means the energy rises in the spinal cord, the Kundalini energy rises in the spinal cord and reaches Sahasrara. If it reaches Sahasrara, it's called enlightenment. So the person who is on the path of Uttarayana Marga is persons whose energy are rising in the spinal cord, moving upwards towards the Sahasrara. So what happens to that person is, depending on which chakra is penetrated by the energy, next life when he is born, his spiritual journey starts from that chakra and continues. This is on the path of Kriya Yoga. So Uttarayana also, Dakshinayana also means energy movement in the spinal cord for a inner journey. So the outer Uttarayana Kala and Dakshinayana Kala does not matter for a person who has taken the inner Uttarayana Kala. So that's why the choice is yours. Every day you have a bus at 3 o'clock in the morning for enlightenment, and 3 times bus precisely at Trikala Sandhya, where you have an ability to transcend. So you miss the bus every day. So once in a year there's a Magha Masa, there's a special privilege, special bus is there. Okay, if you miss Magha Masa, once in 10 years there's a Kumbha Mela, the special event, special place is there. And if you miss Kumbha Mela, once in 144 years special Kumbha Mela is there. If you miss both all these things, you have a next life anyway. Right? This is the significance of Magha Masa. So anybody has a question? Yes.
The person who is inner journey, you mean to say that he will die only in Uttarayana?
No, it doesn't matter. When he dies, doesn't matter. For a Gnani, I didn't tell about Gnani. So the question is, if a person who is on the inner journey, will he die in the Uttarayana? For a person who is inner journey, Uttarayana Kala, Dakshinayana Kala doesn't matter. Outer. Doesn't matter at all. And third thing I said, Devayana, Pitrayana. Uttarayana Kala, Dakshinayana Kala I told. There is the third one, which is Jnana, Atma Jnana, Sadhyo Mukti. Enlightenment when he is alive. For him no Kala applies because he has already gone beyond time and space. For him no horoscope applies. For him no Kala applies. No time applies. He is liberated while he is alive. So Uttarayana Marga, Dakshinayana Marga and enlightenment. So what was the question now?
You said the horoscope also carries a karmic footprint.
Horoscope indicates the coordinates, which means indicates the karmic footprint.
What do you mean by karmic footprint?
Karmic footprint is, when you say karmic footprint, a person has 4 different types of karma: Sanchita karma, Prarabdha karma, Agami and Kriyamana. Sanchita karma is accumulated karma. Prarabdha karma is accumulated in couple of millions of lifetimes. And it is huge in nature because each lifetime you create a lot of karma. Right? Sanchita means accumulated. So Sanchita karma is like a ocean. Okay? Prarabdha karma is a part of one bucket full of water from that ocean you are taking for this body. So Kriyamana is when with that karma what you do now. Agami is when you do now, something comes in the future. This is called Agami. So a horoscope represents the Prarabdha karma of that individual, the starting point. Once you know the starting point, the end point also is known, because anyway Prarabdha karma means he is living unconsciously and he is predictable. That is the assumption behind the astrology.
Can you give me an example? Suppose as an astrologer who knows that horoscope carries a karmic footprint.
So what is the question?
He says can he change his prarabdha?
Like for example, someone is born at a certain time in place. Let's assume that there's an astrologer who knows what horoscope actually indicates besides the coordinates plus karmic. So let's say suppose someone is born to a gangster. Okay. Now what can an astrologer do within his powers?
So let me give 2 examples. There was a great astrologer in India called Varaha Mihira. Okay, Varaha Mihira was a very, very great astrologer, and he had such a precision of calculation. Most of the modern day calculations of distance between the earth to moon, all those things he had done in his lifetime. He was well known. A child was born to the king. Okay. Then this guy calculated a precise moment of the death of the child, and he said the child will die out with a varaha, means pig, boar. Make sure that the child doesn't go near the boar during this period of time. So the king took all the precautions. That time there were bears, right? Wild boars. So the king, people go for hunting and all. The king made sure that the child doesn't go for hunting, not especially near wild boar. On the precise moment and precise moment when this guy has predicted, the child died. What happened was there was a boar statue in the made out of bronze in the king's palace. The child was playing, and that boar statue fell on the child and it pierced through his stomach. So in recognition of his precision in calculation, the king gave him the name called Varaha Mihira. He was able to calculate the precise moment of the death of the son. So he calculated, and Prarabdha karma load is such that the child cannot overcome. Understand? It is like a vehicle is going at a certain speed. You may tell the driver, Baba, if you go at this speed, you will crash. But the driver is not able to control because already he has exceeded the speed limit. That's called one Prarabdha karma. Then I will take another case. The child Buddha was born. Okay? The astrologers of that day said, this child is a very great child. he is destined to become an emperor. If he can't become if he other alternate for him is he will become a monk and he will go for enlightenment. Now these are precisely a changing destination, right? If your karmic load is such that you have come with so much of good merit, and if you enjoy the good merit, you will become emperor. So and there is a possibility that he can become a monk. So Buddha's Buddha's father, what is his name? I think is Bimbasara.
No. It's not Bimbasara.
Okay, who is that? So Buddha's father was very careful. What he made, he put his son into a palace. He gave all the what I call beautiful things on the earth. He made sure that he doesn't see misery. Right? He had a beautiful wife, Yashodhara, a nice child. And king had made sure that in his servants were all women, females. No old men were allowed into the palace. He had created all external conditions to make this guy engrossed and enjoy his prarabdha karma. And unfortunately, the Buddha was what Buddha is, right? He saw through all of them. And one day he just left the palace and went on the path of enlightenment. So Buddha, it is like a prarabdha karma load is such that the speed is your bus is going at a very high speed. But Buddha understood, if I go at this speed, this bus will go in this direction. He reduced the speed and changed the direction. So that's where inner journey took over. So Buddha had prepared for the inner journey only for last 500 lifetimes. So he was ready. Whereas most of the people don't prepare for any one lifetime. So they will end up in the whatever that horoscope takes you.
So the footprint also indicate what qualities will influence you.
Yes.
Second question is, when a child is born, the mind doesn't come from the parents, right?
No. So the child, when a child is born, it comes with the prarabdha karma. Prarabdha karma means it comes with the body. The body is a donation of the parents. So, and also it comes with certain level of impressions, past life impressions. Okay. So that accounts for difference in the children. For example, I saw a child in Pune. When I was conducting a class, a mother brought a child. The child was 2-year-old child. The child had just started speaking and it's 1.5 years or so, 1 year, 1.5 years. The mother was carrying the child and going on streets of Pune. The child told his mother, please stop here. I died here on this spot. I was going in a cycle and met with an accident with lorry and I died. The mother was horrified. A child which had just started speaking is speaking about death. She was very scared of that place. Then what happened? She avoided that place whenever she goes. She used to go through residential area, bypassing that place. At one place the child said, stop here. My wife and children are there in the house. So the child remembers the past life. Past life impressions are carried by the child. So what happens is that is true for many of you also. But as you start getting adjusted in the local environment, you start forgetting all those things. Why remember past life here? Past life, no? Why you remember past life wife? Right? Horror stories. Right? So better to start afresh. So you start forgetting. So start fresh life. So you start with a fresh horoscope.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
With Sadhguru's grace, I think the prarabdha karma also will be nullified.
Yeah, I'll tell you how the grace nullifies the prarabdha karma. I just told in the case of Buddha, how the prarabdha karma, he overcame the prarabdha karma.
No, it has happened to me, sir.
Yes, yes.
With your grace.
Correct, sir.
As long as I had predicted, I had a kidney problem by age 52.
Is astrologer alive still?
I told you that.
Yeah.
He said, I had a brain hemorrhage.
So, what happens is, prarabdha karma is nothing sacrosanct. Prarabdha karma can be overcome through purushartha, human effort. That's what Buddha did. He overcame his prarabdha karma. But for many people, prarabdha karma load is so high, they cannot overcome through purushartha. So they will continue with that speed for a couple of million lifetimes. Okay?
If the child is born with its own destiny, then how the child's destiny sometimes gets connected to the parents' destiny?
There are different karmas, no? So you
for example,
understand
most
that?
of the famous people's children become famous.
Not necessarily. I'll tell you.
Not necessarily, but
I'll tell
very
you.
nice. Like Jawaharlal Nehru's
I'll tell you about it. Your question is how child's karma is linked to their parents' karma and vice versa.
Yeah.
Right? So for that, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna asks Krishna, you are telling you about yoga, Kriya Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. Okay, now all these things I do, but die before I attain liberation, mukti. Then what will happen to such a person? So Krishna says such a person is called Yoga Brashta. Yoga Brashta means somebody who was not able to achieve enlightenment. Yoga. So what he says, Krishna says, such a person will be born in a family of yogis or family of rich person. Okay? So this is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Yoginam kule. He'll take a birth in a yogi's family or rich person. So what happens is your prarabdha karma, okay, because of your load of karmic impressions, you will find a parents who are suitable for your evolution. A child who is born in rich man's family is not by accident. The previous karmic impressions have made a child to be born in that family. Similarly, a child who is born in yogi's family is not born out of accident. The child has done yoga sadhana and that karmic impression has taken the child to be born in that yogi's family. So the birth in a family is related to the karmic impressions the child carried. The karmic linkage of the child with the parents, they were also related to the child in some other lifetimes. So that linkage together is what birth is in a family. So you can understand why it's difficult to get a Jnani. Because a Jnani person who is a Yoga Brashta, who has done all sadhana, he requires a womb of a mother who is very sattvic in nature. Parents are sattvic in nature. They themselves have evolved. So such people are rare. That's why Jnani's birth is also rare. Can't get a right type of womb, environment to take a birth. So many times, most of the people who have done a lot of karmic impression, they get next parent's birth within seconds. Every minute of dying, they can get next birth. The vehicle speed is so high. Whereas for a Jnani, a person who has very evolved in yoga sadhana, sometimes he has to wait hundreds and thousands of years to take a birth, to get the right parents. Is clear?
Sir, I would like to make a comment here.
Yeah.
I have read Brihadanayaka Upanishad, sir.
Yes, sir.
There, they say we come from the parent eats a grain of rice
Right.
or wheat, and the mind and what you say, according to your teaching, the manas, buddhi, chitta, ahankara,
Right.
gets submerged in the grain of rice. The father eats that grain of rice,
Right.
and that gets into the womb,
Yeah.
and the baby is born.
Right.
So the karmic impressions will be carried by the grain of rice.
Right.
Right, sir?
That's right. It is in subtle form. The subtle form, it enters into the father and mother. From the gross form, it takes a subtle form. Ultimately, it eventually finds the right parents. दाने दाने पे लिखा है खाने वाले का नाम. So, what is the destiny is what pulls the child to a right parents. Now, this happens again for a person who is in the karmic loads. Whereas for a person who is Gnani, or a person who is almost ready for enlightenment or for Avatar Purusha, they don't go through all this route. The child is in the womb of the mother, or rather, this is growing. At appropriate time, maybe 6 months or 8 months, that the soul enters into the womb directly, not through any of the circuits. So there is a typical route for a karmic route. Typical route for, as is said in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the soul comes through the seed, the rain falls into the earth in the form of, it becomes a grain, and the grain enters into fathers through food, and then it becomes a semen, and it enters to mother. That is the path which is taken. The typical karmic is janta, am janta, right? That's how it happens. There's no appropriate parent there, because most of the parents are falling into am janta category, right? If you go to train, or general compartment, any special treatment for you? Like that, this is an ordinary treatment.
Sir, I have one question, sir.
I'll complete this.
Yeah, please.
Alright? That is the route which is taken. Because karmic impression by and large will be similar pattern.
That's why I made too many compartments are there.
So then there are souls which have done more sadhana, spiritual practices. They have the ability to enter the womb at the appropriate time. It is said that even the Avatar Purushas don't even go through the womb. The child just gets born, dies. Not this child. Another soul which was destined to die, dies. And the Avatar Purusha enters after the birth also, into that body. Okay. So, these are all different varieties of births. What type of births which take place, depending on the karmic impressions. As you become more and more evolved, the freedom also increases. Like a first class compartment and second class, what is this, 2-tier AC. So your facilities also, a little bit flexibility also gives, the nature gives. Yes sir, your question?
Sir, after death, the manas, buddhi, chitta, antakarana.
Right.
Will it enter new body immediately, or will it?
That's what I said now. For a person who is in the Dakshinayana Marga, or who is fully involved in Kamya Karma and not gone through Uttarayana Marga or path of Jnana or path of spiritual practice, typically within few seconds or few minutes he can take another body through some means. Okay. But for a yogi, for an Avatar Purusha, the wait is very long. One Buddha,
Parents.
he has to pay right parents, right kind of womb. No. Avaduta is also through womb only. So they have to find the right parents, which will take a long time. No, see, there is no in the person, everybody, for all the people, there is no birth or death, because Atma has no birth, no death.
Identify the body alone.
There in reality nobody is born, nobody dies. That is the truth, universal truth. Only thing is Gnani has realized it. Other people have not realized it. There is nobody born, nobody dies, right? So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that Ashochan Ashochatvam Pradnavanascha Bhashase. You are crying for something which is meaningless. Nobody born, nobody dies. What are you crying for? That is true from Krishna's point of view. But person who is dying, he knows anything. From a Dani's point of view, there is nobody born, nobody dies. Neither himself nor anybody else. But person who is going through the suffering, no, he thinks that he is born and dies, right? That's Maya. The Atma, the self has no birth, no death. Right? Any questions? It comes with your question was, the child comes with the basic impressions, which is mind, subconscious impressions. It comes with subconscious impressions. The body is given by the parents. So the rest of the mind is borrowed in the environment. Okay? So a karma is of the three types: prarabdha karma of the child, the family karma, the societal karma, and nation's karma. So various karmas, karmic impressions have influence on that.
Do these genes, do they carry karmic impressions or just...
They carry the karmic impressions of the parents. Not the genes means karmic impressions of the parents. Karmic impressions means a record, no memory record, no. So it has come, something has come from parents, something has come from his past life, something comes from the society. So you are a mess of many things. Any more questions?
This chapter where Krishna says, among the months I am Margashira, he describes all these qualities.
Right.
So for a seeker, what is the objective of this chapter?
No. For this, see, the chapter is actually, this is actually Vibhuti Yoga. I think it's Vibhuti Yoga, he says. Vibhuti Yoga. Krishna says, the consciousness, everything is nothing but God only. Okay? Everything is but God only. The divine only. The divine shines in the sky, water, earth. The God is, everything is God only. Okay? The God is there in the beggar. The God is there in the emperor. God is there in the donkey, is there in the monkey. The mountain and river. Right? Now, in everything is God only. Everything is consciousness only. Appearance in different forms. Everything is gold only, whether it appears in the form of ring, or a bracelet, or a necklace. It's gold only. But gift one ring to your wife during her birthday versus gift one necklace to her. What is the difference? Is there a difference between gifting a ring and a necklace? Huge difference. Everything is gold only. What is their difference? Some qualities shine. Some qualities shine. Okay? The sun shines in water. Sun shines in stone. Sun shines in the mirror. Which is closer representation of sun? Mirror. So similarly, God is avyakta, unmanifest, formless reality. God also reflects as form in the Saguna Brahma, in various qualities of the nature. The highest and highest quality of God is manifested in Avatara Purusha or Sadguru. Understand? This quality of sun is seen maximum in the mirror. Even water, even stone also you can see quality of sun. But where does it get reflected maximum? In the mirror. So Krishna is giving an example in various aspects where the maximum quality of consciousness gets reflected. Right? In the months, Margashira Masa, spiritual quality gets reflected. That's what it says. All months are consciousness only. But in that, spirituality or maximum auspiciousness for spirituality happens in Magha Masa. Right? In mountains are there, many mountains are there. The Himalaya represents the peak of mountains. The Himalaya, the highest quality of mountain or matter is represented in the Himalaya. God says, I am that. Balam Balavatam Asmi. The people have strength. Right? So the strength comes from God. The maximum strength represents maximum power of God. The peak. So similarly, highest qualities, through giving an example through highest qualities, the Lord is pointing out that look at the positive, the strength or the positive qualities of the divine. Right? Now, why positive qualities are given? Because that's what inspires you. That's what motivates you. That's what puts you on the path of spiritual growth. Right?
There's gambling also.
Yeah, gambling also. Everywhere. So, any questions? We'll close for the day.
So the seeker can choose any of these manifestations and start.